I'd like to call the order of the Town of St. John Waterworks Board regular meeting for October 15th, 2025 at 5 p.m. Start with the pledge to the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I hadn't said it since grade school.
Roll call.
John,
Here.
Nick,
Present.
Patricia,
Here.
Kim,
Here.
Greg.
Here.
Tonight, we have a presentation from Baker Tilly. Amber, can you hear us?
Yes, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Perfect. Do I need to share my screen with the presentation or is it in front of you all?
I think we have it in front of us.
Okay. Perfect. So as I go through the report, I will just mention the page number that I'm on, but if anywhere you need clarification or something, just please pause me and let me know. So hi everyone, it's great to see you again, even if only virtually. I'm Amber Nielsen from Baker Tilly, and tonight I will be providing a brief presentation to you in regards to the water and water district's budget that was submitted to the DLGF for review, as well as it has been considered at a public hearing by town council. And then if there are no changes to that budget, town council meets again in about a week or two to adopt this budget. So I'm going to give you kind of a high level overview of the budget, but if there's anything we need to chat about after, please ask me questions now, or we can certainly connect after the meeting as well. So starting on slide 3, the first several slides are more of just informational, historical, look back type pieces of information for you all. So slide 3 just clarifies, as I move through this report, there's really 2 types of water funds. So you've got the Water District Fund, which is the sole fund that receives a pretty small amount of property tax. This fund is required by state statute to be submitted to the Department of Local Government Finance for budget and tax rate approval. And then you have your water utility funds, which are like your operating fund, your system development fund, and those are the funds that receive user fees, water rates, system development charges, the rates that you all control locally. That is not required to be submitted to the DLGF for review, but the town does just simply as a best practice. So as I go through this report, you'll see me mentioning the 2 different types of funds. So the next few slides, starting on slide 4, really focus solely on the Water District Fund. And again, that's that fund that receives property tax. So in the chart, the teal, that is the net property tax that the Water District Fund has received for the past about 5 years. And so it's, give or take, just starting in 21, just under 300,000 up to 2025, about 362,000. And that grows by each year. So here in another slide, you'll see that I'll mention it'll grow by 4% in 2026. The very small red or pink sliver at the top of that teal chart are the circuit breaker credits. So since this fund does receive property tax dollars, it is subject to what's called circuit breaker credits. And you all as a water board maybe aren't super in the weeds of what those are. That is essentially credits given back to taxpayers because, for example, a residential homeowner who pays property tax, due to Indiana statute, their property tax bill is limited to 1% of their property's assessed value. So if the math results in a bill that is more than that 1% cap, it turns into circuit breaker, which is essentially just lost revenue due for the Water District Fund. The town historically as a whole, water district, sanitary, and civil town funds has had very low circuit breaker amounts, but you'll see in a few slides, I'll note some changes in the legislation that'll likely increase what those are. Slide 5, again, focusing solely on the water district and just what the historical tax rate is and net assessed value of the water district. So the yellow bar in the graph is essentially the water district's net assessed value over the past 5 years, and then the gray line that's on top of it is the tax rate for the water district. So of course, you know, if you're a taxpayer in town, you see a tax rate much higher than, for example, in 25, the 0.164. But that is and that's simply because you're paying, you know, a tax rate to water, to sanitary, to probably a township, a library, a school system. So what they see on their tax bill is higher, but that is the rate that is assigned to the St. John Water District. And so when the math kind of maths itself, that is the rate that'll then generate that $362,000 roughly of property tax that the water district gets every year. So the trend here is really good for the town and the water district, increasing net assessed value and a decreasing tax rate, and that's simply just due to the growth that the town has seen for the past several years. So slide 6 is more, again, informational for you all, and this is the Water District Fund as well as the Water Operating Fund. So we've combined them both here, and this is comparing in 2024 what did combined those two funds budget for and what did those two funds actually spend. So our suggestion usually is, you know, best practice, budgeting for an amount that is pretty close to what you think you'll actually spend. The budgeting process is a little bit tricky because especially when you have to submit everything to the state for review, for the water district fund, especially, you're doing it, you know, 18 months prior before the end of that next budget year. Now, Baker Tilly, as you're all aware, we review, you know, the water and sewer financials and budgets every spring, and that's simply because the water utility funds, which are driven by those user fees, aren't held strictly to the state's kind of budget timeline. And even though the town does it as a best practice, there's a little bit more leeway, I guess, of, you know, when you can prepare or modify those budgets and how you go about doing that. But if we look at what was budgeted to what was actually spent, so the budget amount is the teal box, and then the gray are the actual disbursements, again, for these two funds combined. Water spent 92% of its budget, which is really close, and that makes it easy for you all as a board to make decisions, you know, on forecasted data. So water is doing a great job preparing those budgets and spending them pretty close to what they think they'll spend. Moving on to slide 8. So some of these you know, are a little bit more focused on the water district, the property tax fund, but just as the town is going through this budget process, what were the considerations to kind of take into account? So the first bullet is next year in 2026 is the first year of Senate Enrolled Act 1 impacts, and you may or may not know about what all that entails, just simply because a lot of water's funds are driven by user fees. But for the property tax side of things, which includes the Water District Fund, there will be major changes to how a taxpayer in the town is billed and just how their property tax bill is calculated. So there'll be changes to the standard deduction, the supplemental deductions, different changing and new credits on that. And so as a result of that, and you'll see this on a few slides, the town circuit breaker numbers, which again are the lost revenues due to credits given back to taxpayers, are expected to substantially increase in starting in 2026. And so this new legislation is phased up through 2031. Again, it only affects the water district's budget and revenue. It does not affect the water utility funds that are driven by user fees. So water district will be affected, and for the total town, this is civil town, water and sewer, there's just over about a $1 million impact, and I'll show you those numbers here in a few slides, and we'll kind of talk about, how that impacts the water district fund specifically. I already mentioned a few slides ago that the maximum levy growth factor, which is the amount that property tax grows by each year, is 4% again in 2026, and this was capped at 4% again due to Senate Enrolled Act 1, and that only affects the water district fund. A few more considerations. I know Bill, Beth, and all the department heads have been working super hard on all of the budgets for the town, water and sewer, and just kind of taking all of that feedback and preparing that. I will show you in a few slides as well kind of how those numbers shake out and whether those budgets are balanced. As well as the second bullet here, the water district, so again, the property tax fund, is not eligible for the 3-year growth excess levy appeal. Several years ago, all 3 of the taxing units, so that's civil town, sanitary district, and water district, was eligible for this appeal several years in a row, and they were all granted this appeal. The appeal essentially is the town and the districts are growing at a pace faster than the rest of the state, that essentially you need more property tax growth than that 4% that the state is kind of giving out to everyone. In 26 though, or for 26, none of the taxing units in the town was eligible, and unfortunately this appeal will be eliminated after this year due to Senate Enrolled Act 1. And then the final bullet, the net assessed value, which is the base for that property tax calculation for the water district, did increase again in 26, and it increased just under 6%. Slide 10, really the goals that I know from Beth and Bill and department heads, or the goals for the 2026 budget at a high level was really sustainable and kind of safe financial growth into the future. A balanced budget definitely is something that I've heard many times from all parties at the town, that was super important, and just really public trust and stability. So getting it into the numbers here, the next few slides relate only to the water district, the property tax fund, but I'll show you a few numbers in a few slides later about the water operating. So water district, again, the property tax fund is highlighted in yellow on slide 11. So this demonstrates, again, that $362,000 that the water district receives in property tax revenue in 2025. You'll see the circuit breaker amount isn't even $100 for water district, so that is great for this year. And the net tax levy, which water district is actually getting, is essentially only $100 short from what you're billing to your residents. Slide 12 is showing the estimated property tax levies for 2026. So the first column after kind of the titles. So with that 4% growth that I mentioned to property tax, the gross levy estimated will be about $379,000. You back out about $100 of circuit breaker, which is the current level of circuit breaker. But then you have to account for the estimated increase in circuit breaker or lost revenue due to Senate Enrolled Act 1. And that will impact the water district fund. The current estimate is about $37,000. So that is $37,000, kind of a hit to what you would have received in property tax for water district had that legislation not been passed. And so again, like I said before, that'll ramp up through 2031. How this could affect the water district is if we see that circuit breaker number being increased, every consecutive year through 2031, and essentially resulting in the water district fund receiving less and less property tax dollars. I know that fund does budget for supplies and services for charges. If at some point, that water district fund could not afford its normal level of budget anymore, those budgets would need to be shifted to the water utility funds that are driven by your rates. And then what that would do is, probably not right away, because I know that the water utility funds are very healthy, but over time, it could put more pressure on those water utility funds, and then, prompt us to suggest you revisit those water rates to make sure that those water rates are sustainable now that we've, suggested to move budgets from water district that could no longer afford the level of budget it once could. Slide 13 is just essentially the estimated tax rates. This is for the whole town, but you can see water district highlighted in yellow. Essentially no change, a very minor decrease in the tax rate. Again, the towns and the district's net assessed value increases so well every single year that it has kept tax rates pretty much stagnant or decreased them. Slide 14 shows you at a high level, so in aggregate total for water, and you'll see water is highlighted there, the budgets. So I've broken this out by water works district. So again, that is the property tax fund. And then you'll see water utility. So that includes all of the water utility funds that prepared budget. So your operating, your system development charge fund, etc. So the blue column are the estimated receipts for those funds in 2026. So for Waterworks district, that's the net property tax revenue of about $363,000. And then for the water utility, all your revenues there for all of those funds is just over $5 million. And then the green right next to it are the budget disbursements as submitted to the DLGF for review. So for Waterworks district, that is $387,000. And then for water utility, again, in total, that's $6.4 million. I had said a few slides ago that one of the goals was a balanced budget. So that net cash flow, if it is positive, those funds are gaining cash. If it is negative or in the red, those funds are reducing cash or kind of eating into their fund balances because those disbursements are higher than the estimated receipts. So for both of these funds, you'll see a slight red for the Waterworks district, and then you'll see a much larger red for the water utility. The water utility itself is driven by capital projects. And so when Beth and Bill had sent me the budgets for 2026 for water utility, I had compared them to the reports that we provide you all every year. And I was with you, I think it was a month or two ago, presenting those. So no concerns with the water utilities net cash flow of that almost 1.4 million. That's mainly due to those water main projects that I know are planned. And I will show you in a few slides that even though this budget, in aggregate does not look balanced, fund balance wise, the water utility, there's simply no concern on our end at this point of, that being a budget we need to be concerned about. I'll pause here. Any questions, anything I need to clarify?
Does the board have any questions so far? I'll go ahead and continue.
Okay. So looking ahead on slide 16 kind of goes right into just what I had said about us as your financial advisor not having any concern with the 2026 budget and comparing it to the data that we presented to you a month or two ago. I had presented a graph similar to this when I was there a month or two ago, so hopefully it looks familiar. But what this essentially does is compares your estimated ending fund balances, and so that is in yellow, And this is an aggregate, so total fund balances, compared to your required reserves, which is in red. So that is, based on the promises you made to your bondholders when you issued bonds, the very minimum you have to have in all of your funds, as well as a recommended reserve amount, which is in teal. That takes an extra step and adds on, you should have 1 year's worth of average capital sitting in your fund balances. So we plugged in the 2026 budget amounts, as you saw in aggregate on the previous slide, and kind of projected out into the future a few years. So you'll see 24 actual, 25, and then 26 through 29. With the 26 budget and being conservative in years after, applying a 3% inflationary allowance like we typically do, as well as building in your future capital plans as they are now. We, again, have no concerns with the water utilities fund balances at this time, and we're not at a point now or in the near future that we can see that we would recommend any rate adjustments or rate reviews. But of course, we will continue annually, and I mentioned this on the next slide, 17. We, as your financial advisor, will continue annually to review the water utilities financial health, operational budgets, and suggest to you, when it may or may not be time to consider a rate review. So we'll do that again here in this spring in 2026. And then really, the other kind of future budget considerations I put in here, I already kind of mentioned, is we'll want to watch the impact of the new property tax legislation and what that does to the water district's funds, over time. Again, I know Water District has a pretty healthy fund balance, so it'd probably be a while until we would see that, maybe, at least a couple of years. But if it gets to a point where Water District cannot afford a level of budget that it once could due to this new property tax legislation, we will probably, want to see how we can move some of that budget to the water utility funds. And then again, suggest if down the road it comes to this, to review rates, just to ensure that adding budget to water operating, for example, that's driven by utility rates, can afford the shifts coming from the property tax fund. Any questions, clarifications you would like me to make at this time?
One of the questions I have, I know we had discussed this, I believe at the last meeting or the other previous meeting to that, was the capital budget.
Yes.
And how does that look with the reductions
Yes.
and everything else? And we had made some suggestion. I was just wondering how that worked out.
Yeah, so actually, as a part of the 2026 budget, we had not yet made those updates. I think it was kind of a timing difference in terms of, when Beth and Bill were submitting the budgets to the state versus when we had that meeting. It was a little bit of a timing difference. That necessarily doesn't affect the water district fund, but it would affect water utility, operating, system development charge, et cetera, your utility user fees funds. And those are the funds that have a little bit more flexibility in reviewing the budget, making budget changes, things like that. So we do still plan to update that. And that can really be essentially whenever, I think last year, maybe we had kind of a year-end meeting where we reviewed that a little bit in more detail. We can schedule a work session. But as of the date of the budget, that had not been completely done yet. And that was really more that 5-year outlook on capital, not only 2026. So we do still need to update that with you all.
So if there is changes in that, what would be the process? Because I think the town council is getting ready to, right, or they may have if they did
For-
first reading yet or not on the budget, and how does, if there is changes in that after they approve it, what is the process for that? If you want to change things in the capital and possibly move it to water utility?
Yeah, so for the water utility funds that are not required to be submitted to the state, it really is no formal process. It's more of a local process. To be honest, the DLGF actually doesn't even review the water utility funds budgets. They only review water district budget. However, as best practice, the town prepares all of the budgets and submits them to the state. So it's kind of like, a one-stop shop for all things transparency, because those budgets do become accessible to the public once they're final reviewed and submitted. So the process to change the budget, for example, like the Water System Development Fund, really is just done at a local level. And so it would just simply be a recommendation to change that budget, in 2026. Or if there are changes for the 2026 budget that are known now, council could change that figure before they adopt next week. Or if there's changes next year, it's essentially, more of a local process. There's nothing formal you have to submit with the state, since they're not property tax funds.
So if I'm understanding you correctly, the only thing the state reviews is the water district funds and what's submitted to them. Everything else on a water utility is done by the town council and town treasurer clerk, correct?
Yes, that is correct. The only thing that the state reviews and makes comment on is the water district fund that receives property tax.
Okay, and is there anything in state statute or anything that requires the water district to do an audit of the water district funds that are submitted to the state?
Yes, so the water district fund and actually all of the town funds, and that includes town, water district, water utility, every fund that the town has on its accounting books is required to be audited. That is done by a different state agency, the State Board of Accounts. They will do an audit. I want to say their average is maybe every 2 years, sometimes 3 years if they get a little bit behind schedule. I believe the town was recently audited, if not this year, I believe it was last year. And when the town is audited, the water funds, the water district fund, those are all included in that audit, but it is required for the town to be audited, yes.
Okay, and the last question I have for you, and then I'll open up to the rest of the board if they have any others, is we had spoke about the approval of payment of bills and invoices and things like that, that the water board here makes approval. I know you had said you would contact the town attorney to see what the legal standpoint is for the water board and what they are approving. Is it more of just a recommendation or a nod, or is it actually something that we're held to by the state on what we're approving and what's on the claims list?
Yes, I did talk to him. Did you not get an answer on that? I had spoke with him on the phone maybe a few days after the meeting, and he was going to provide an answer to you all.
He provided an answer that basically said the town council can approve or make purchases and things like that, and approve purchases, but ultimately, my question is, we have a claims list that's put in front of the board that we have to say yay or nay. And my question is, for this board is, by us saying yay or nay, is there any legal obligation we have regarding those funds? Or is it all still fall on the town council? Because, some of these things that we're approving, whether it's the water district funds or the water utility funds, I just want to make sure that, we're doing what should be done, correctly. I don't want to see anybody, years down the road, where somebody on this board or myself or anybody else gets in trouble because we approved a claims list that shouldn't have been approved, or there was a question on it, or whatever. I'm just trying to get that, and there was really no good, I didn't hear an answer on that from the attorney. He just.
So, John, sorry,
No.
I didn't mean to interrupt.
Sorry.
That information was, and I'll see if you weren't on that email, but the attorney's opinion was sent out. And unfortunately, I'm on the phone, so I'm trying to forward that back to you, just in case you didn't get it. And I don't want to speak on it without having it in front of me to say what it said. But to recap, yes, the town council makes those approvals. I will resend after the meeting. Unfortunately, I'm only on the phone portion right now.
Okay, so the town council has the authority and everything else to approve those, or is the final step to approve all the bills, whether it's the water district or whether it's the water utility. And this board has no obligation of approving the claims list and cannot be held liable for any of those approvals that we do.
And again, I think it was made clear, and I don't know, why we keep revisiting the subject of someone getting in trouble for it. His legal opinion, again, myself or Amber aren't attorneys, but his legal opinion was sent out after this meeting.
Yeah, if you could, maybe it's a different one than I got, because the email that I seen just basically talked about purchases and how the purchases were made. It didn't talk about payment that's on the claims list. So that's
I will
all I
make
want to
sure
make
you
sure that, that we're good, and just to get it clarified once and for all, and if he can put that in writing to the members on the board, his legal advice on that would be great, because
Yeah.
there are some
Again,
concerns on this board about that, for those, what we're approving and what our responsibility is, and to make sure we're doing it correctly.
Yeah, I think it's worth following up there if you feel the answer was not fully, or the question was not fully answered. Again, I don't mean to not provide an answer to you. I just don't want to say the wrong answer, because I'm not an attorney, and especially, when part of the question is, what are you held liable for? I don't want to misspeak. So I do think we should reach back out to the attorney on that matter then, and further ask the question.
Yeah, and I think the attorney can make it very clear and just say, yes, you are liable, or no, you are not. That's a very simple answer for those questions. Does the board feel the same on that? Yes. All right, I appreciate that, Amber. Any other questions from the board on the budget or the financial funds of the water district? Thanks for another great job, Amber. We really appreciate it.
Absolutely. My contact info again is in that presentation. If you have any follow-up questions, please feel free to email me or call me anytime, and I will be happy to chat with you. And then just for housekeeping, Jacqueline, do I stay on this Google Meet for the sanitary meeting?
Yes, if you don't mind, if you want to just mute yourself, and then once we start the sanitary, we'll do this all over again.
Okay, perfect. Thank you all again. Talk soon.
Thank you.
Okay, next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes for August 20th, 25. And I guess we'll take each one separate. So, first, I'm looking for a motion to approve the minutes of August 20th, 25 meeting minutes.
So moved.
Motion made, second.
I'll second that.
Under the question? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Approval of minutes for September 17th, 2025. Looking for a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Looking for a second?
Second.
Motion made and second. Under the question? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Guess we'll put this under, it's under new and old business, Kilkenny Alternate Valve Building.
Thank you, Mr. President. As we discussed last meeting, we were putting together some options on the size of the building and the schedule. So I went back to Flow Technics, who represents the USEMCO buildings, to get an updated estimate. Estimate didn't change on the buildings, but now they're saying that the lead time on a prefab building can be anywhere from, I think it's like 26 to 32 weeks.
All right.
So even if we bid it now, we're not looking to take delivery for the building until the end of next summer. So we went back and looked at the costs for a brick and mortar building with architecture similar to the well houses, but a little bit smaller as needed for the altitude valves. And I believe that's what Mike just passed out to you guys.
Does this hold up the wells being operational then?
Not at all. No, it's completely separate. The other two tanks already have new altitude valves. This is just for the third one on the west
Well, I was
side.
just wondering if it's affects the operation, that we could almost wait, right? I mean, it's just gonna be longer to get it.
Completely independent of the wells.
Okay. Thanks.
So the prefab 15 by 12 building, is roughly, with site work and everything else, is 320,000, correct?
Correct.
And then we have a couple options for larger prefab buildings and then the masonry.
Correct, and I would just ignore that right column for now. I mean, the chlorination is gonna be as needed, you know. We just want to make sure we're sized for it.
So if we went ahead and ordered the building, it would take us 26 weeks to get, roughly 6
They
months?
said 26 to 32. I did, yeah, of course, my computer. I did put together a brief schedule on what the options are. You know, if the town were to order the building ahead of time and then just bid the installation, you know, that would save you a month or two. By the time, you know, if the town ordered the building next week, that's when the clock starts. If the town bids the installation of the building, you got to bid it, contracts got to go back and forth. Contractor submits shop drawings. We approve the shop drawings. They might not order it till the end of December by the time contracts are in place. You know, they're not going to order something without a contract in hand. So it affects the schedule for sure.
So even if we do a brick and mortar building, we're still gonna have to do the, review we still have to bid it out. We still have to review the drawings and all of that.
But none of those other drawings are gonna have lead time like the building. You know, pipes, valves, controls, those aren't 32-week lead time. You follow, and the brick and mortar building, you saw how fast the well houses went up. I mean, they were built in 2 months, maybe. So it is a significant difference in the schedule.
Mike, I'm gonna ask you for an opinion. What's your thought on, for this altitude valve and things like that, and how is it affecting the system and?
The sooner the better, just as far as being able to control the turnover rate better, and our hydraulics in town are ever changing every year. And we need to have a whole new rewrite, which that it would include the third altitude valve being installed as well. There's been tie-ins and upsizing of mains and new water mains year after year after year.
So, and then, how long would it take to prepare drawings? Is
Not
there-
long. I mean, we have the plans.
The gist of it already.
Yeah, the plans right now are probably at 80%. It's just whatever you guys decide, implement that, go through QA, get out to bid.
Okay, Dave, I'm gonna put you on the spot a little bit.
Yep.
This has been going on for a long time. And why is it taking us so long to get the bids and everything else together? I mean, a lot of this information could have been done several months ago. And it's like, we can't seem to get this project off the ground. And from talking to Mike here and everything else, that's something we need to. It helps our whole system balance out, and Mike doesn't have to worry about phone calls in the middle of the night, and, because tanks are getting low or whatever the case may be, so,
I don't have a problem getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning every morning in the summer.
yeah. So I
Somebody needs to make a decision on the size and construction of the building, and then we're off to the races.
and when would that be, if we made a decision this week or next week, when would those documents be ready for bidding?
I think I know for sure you could award at the December meeting. I think the way the calendar works, I think the November meeting is only 3 weeks away instead of the typical 4. So I think give us those 3 weeks to get out to bid, and we're out to bid by November and awarding in December.
Because we're probably, awarding in December, we're probably not gonna do much construction on brickwork in the months of January and February.
Weather permitting, correct.
Right. You might get a foundation in the ground, but after that, unless you're tenning everything, and if you want to ten everything, that's going to be an extra in the contract, and the price just keeps going up.
What size building are we talking?
I think the larger one is 24 by 12.
Is that what's recommended?
That's what's needed if we want space for future chlorination, correct. That's about 1/3 of the size of the well houses. I mean, 2/3, I'm sorry.
So could you go through each one of these and tell us what the pros and the cons are for each of these suggestions? From the-
Yes, so the smaller prefab building, the 320, the pro is it's the cheapest option. 2 cons, not room for a full chlorination system. That doesn't mean that Mike can't put in a small pump and add a couple gallons here or there as needed. Another con is the up to 32-week lead time. That's the prefab building regardless of the size. The larger building, you're a little bit more money, but you still have the same lead time. And then the masonry building, you have the bigger size, but there is no lead time. It's as the contractor can build.
And a little bit more money.
Correct.
Dave, I can't see what you're looking at. What's the price difference on the stick-built compared to the prefab?
About 25,000. The stick built is 25,000 more, based on the prices that, that I used from the well houses.
Okay. And no matter what, 32 weeks for the prefab.
26 to 32 is what Flow Technics is saying, correct?
Okay. I just wanted to be clear on that.
Yep.
Okay, so the larger prefab building does not have chlorination equipment included. Is there a reason?
None
Just,
of those do.
yeah, I mean, it's almost another $100,000 to get, the full chlorination pumps, tanks. If it's not needed, we don't want to spend that money for the equipment. But we do want to be ready in size if Mike wants to install it in the future. Instead of having to put an addition on the building or, then you're starting over.
My question is, in looking at this town and the future growth, we have to make decisions not just for today, but 5 years, 7 years down the road. Instead of being reactive, we need to be proactive. So it appears that the larger masonry building will last. It's not going to fall apart in 7 or 8 years. And it'll give us the room where if Mike needs to expand any chlorination needs or whatever the needs are in this town, we're going to give him that real estate. We would be cost ineffective by giving them what they need today and looking at the future growth of this town.
Absolutely.
So, what do we need to do now?
I say think it over, and we'll put it on the agenda for next meeting and maybe vote on it.
So Mike, what would your recommendation be if you could have one of these options
The larger masonry building.
with the chlorination equipment?
I don't need it yet, no.
Okay.
Just,
Is it something that can be easily added on at a later date?
the equipment, yes.
Okay,
What would the cost be later on?
yeah.
It's right here, $80,000.
No, but I mean, say in 4 years. it
Oh.
could be-
Today's cost is,
Yeah.
nobody can predict the future,
Right,
but
yeah.
what was the cost
3 to
of
4%
chlorination
per year.
equipment 3-4 years ago? Has it
True.
gone up
Oh, yeah.
20%, 30%?
I couldn't give you an exact number, but I'd say quite a bit.
Yeah.
This 80 is about what we're paying on the well houses. That's where that came from.
Could we have can't have any bids or anything set up before we would do anything? Because we don't want to lose another month, right? I mean, if we wait another month to approve, then we can't start the bidding and then we'd be pushing the line. Could we save some time? You can't really set the bids up before we approve it, right? I mean,
Oh, we have to bid out spec equipment.
what I'm
though.
saying is, okay, it's like we want to go with the larger masonry, but you said wait a month to think about it. But then we don't want to lose another month of planning on this, do we?
That might be a question for Bill. Does the water board need?
I mean, thanks for thing, but I agree with Greg and I agree with Mike. The wait time for the prefab is there, we know what it is. I would move along with the stick built. I would move along with the stick built for the extra cost, and the bigger building, so we have that room. Again, we're constantly growing. Mike can look at some numbers and see how often he's chlorinating. I know he doesn't have that offhand. How often he's chlorinating. I know it's not a lot, but we are going to have more subdivisions and houses coming online. So having the room there already and the stick built to get up much faster than 32 weeks, and that's 32 weeks if everything goes okay and someone's not backlogged, back ordered, there's something going on with delivery. So I would agree with Mike and go with the stick built, and then we can look at the equipment after he gets us those numbers. Regardless, we're going to have a little bit of a waiting period from now until then. But if the room's there, then we can go ahead and order that equipment. Prices aren't going to go up from now, substantially from now, from a month from now or 2 months from now when it comes to the chlorination equipment.
Was this something that was included in our budget for 2026? Does anybody know?
I believe it was, yes.
Okay.
Bill, can you answer that?
I believe it was also, Mike, unfortunately, I can't grab anything off the phone, so I don't want to give a wrong piece, but I believe it was.
Well, we've been talking about it for, what,
I'm
2 years?
A decision.
We built it in there.
Dave, the well house building for 8 and 9,
Yes,
what's the size of that building, do you know?
I do. Hold on. Well house was 19 by 22.
Right in between those two.
Because that, well, I don't know how you're bringing in or what, because I haven't seen any of the plans for for this building, but with well house 8 and 9 there, it had a chlorination room in it, so, I mean, is it something we could duplicate very easily using that same set of plans? And
That was my plan, if that's what the direction was to change the dimensions of the plans from the, I was not planning on like hiring an architect or, I was just planning on changing the dimensions of the well house building to match.
And that,
we need.
and that has chlorination in it already. Granted, we wouldn't install this chlorination yet.
Correct.
That side room would work as chlorination. Would something like that work for you, Mike, or you need something that's completely different
No.
the way that kind of layout is?
No, the layout of the well house is just fine. It would be just about the same thing.
Then we'd be foolish to re-engineer it.
Well, that's my whole point. It can
Yeah.
speed things up if we basically almost do a duplicate of that building, except instead of a well, we're gonna have
A little smaller, yeah.
we're gonna have a altitude valve in it. So it'll be basically a pipe coming in, a pipe going out, and pretty much what that well house has got already.
Correct.
Yeah, a couple valves and
Yeah,
some power.
yeah, because there isn't much to it,
Floor, need a floor drain, but besides that, yeah.
Bill, you still on the phone?
Yes.
So if we want to go ahead and take action tonight, could we take action on it pending a review of the municipal finances to afford this uptake in price in order to speed things along and try to get this in before summer of next year?
I would go ahead and approve it. Again, John, nothing's going to be done until we are certain, obviously, those funds are there, and that it's been planned for. But I would at least get the ball rolling to get Dave and Mike be okay to start it.
Okay. Another question, Dave. I assume this is not going to require another task order approval?
I could probably fit it in.
I'm sure you
I mean,
can.
it's a change in scope, but typically would be a task order addendum for a change in scope, but I think.
But being that we're saving some money on using
Correct.
the plans or basically the drawings that Robinson had prepared.
Correct.
For wells 8 and 9, we should be able to
Correct.
have to change our current task order.
I'd have to look and see if we have a task order for construction engineering, but on the design and bid side, we're good.
All right. Pleasure of the board. Go ahead and move forward.
Definitely.
Makes sense.
We can't afford not to, because
All right, I will-
costs are just going up minutely.
Yeah.
And that would be if we can't give a dollar amount because we don't know what that,
You're not gonna know what it is exactly until the bids come in anyway.
right, so we're giving the authority to move forward to do a brick and mortar building for the altitude valve with a size, that brick and mortar building to be sized at 22 by, was it 19, I think you said?
19 by 22?
4 by
24 by 12.
22.
24 by 22?
24 by 12.
By 12.
Yeah, the 22 was the well house, yeah.
Right, but that's what we're using, the same well house plan?
No, I would shrink just change the dimensions.
Okay.
Change the dimensions on the walls. Yeah.
All right, I'll look for a motion from the board.
A motion to advance it. I guess that's what you'd say here.
Yeah, we need to spell it out a little bit more.
You want to say something like, if the engineer's estimate matches the budget amount or something to that effect? Because like I said, you won't know the actual cost until the bids come in, but we have an engineer's estimate.
I can't make the motion, but
Okay, wait, I'm trying to figure out how.
I can help out with the motion. I would say that we approve the Kilkenny alternate valve building to be a brick and mortar building, to be constructed on site. Size of the building will be roughly
24 by 12.
24 by 12, with a final estimate,
$390,000 is what we're working with now.
with an estimate of 390,000.
Oh,
No.
I'm sorry.
I thought-
400.
It should be
Yeah.
I
400.
was looking at the wrong line.
95.
No,
So is this with the one with the chlorination or without?
No, lower left, 415. I'm sorry.
415.
Okay, I have a question. I thought we were going with the size of the current well houses, which are 19 by 22.
That would increase the cost a little bit. That was,
But-
those were 370, because they're a little bit larger.
But we already have the engineering and everything done on that. Would there be a cost savings using those plans?
No, it's not difficult for me to reduce the size of the building, because I'm not changing the roof slope, I'm not changing the architectural specs. All I'm doing is changing the dimensions of the walls and less studs, less roofing, less bricks. I think you've come out ahead.
So what's your estimate dollar number, so we're not,
That's what I said, the 415
the 415?
for the 24 by 12 building.
Okay. And we're not going to price it out with the chlorination, just,
Not with the chlorination equipment, it'll have the room to add chlorination to it if
Right.
needed in the future.
I just hate to see this board make the same mistake we did on the sewer vac truck. It's like, yeah, we don't need it today, and then in
Let
a
me-
year,
I'll
it's
give you-
100,000 more.
A little more insight. So once the altitude valve is in place, they have more control with the SCADA system to control what's coming in and going out.
Okay.
So perhaps with some SCADA programming,
Could be a moot point.
he could fix the chlorination with the SCADA programming by improving turnover in the tank,
Yeah.
more up and down, and not need the chlorination. That's what we're hoping.
Mike, you comfortable with that?
Your Kilkenny tank will be your
My
control
idea.
point, right, Mike?
Yes.
So that'll help tremendously. And then for you guys you can make a motion to allow Robinson Engineering to prepare the bids and advertise, and that would probably cut a lot of work out. You can do that right now?
Yeah.
Okay, good, that would be great.
Yesterday.
And there will be
Yeah.
some programming costs,
But that, we won't
That
know
as
that
well.
until
but I won't know that till, yeah,
we get things
Yes.
up and running
So
and
you
see
make
how
the
that works.
motion.
yeah.
Okay, everybody
It would be a motion to approve Robinson Engineering to prepare plans and specs, to finalize plans and specs and go out to bid for the Kilkenny altitude valve building.
Okay, so here we go. All right, a motion to approve to allow Robinson Engineering to set up the bids and review for the Kilkenny alternate valve building. Do we gotta put any price on it?
And I would give permission to advertise also.
And permission to advertise the bids.
Looking for a second?
I'll second that.
Under the question? All those in favor say aye. Whoop. Was there something, Bill? Oh, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Payment of bills. Accounts payable voucher dated October 15th representing payment for the payroll, supplies, services, and equipment rendered to the Water District in the combined total of $28,679.95. Looking for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion made, second.
I second.
Under the question, all those in favor say aye.
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 All opposed? Motion carried. Accounts payable voucher dated October 15th, 2025, representing payment for payroll, supplies, services, and equipment rendered to the water utility in the combined total of $749,099.85. Looking for a motion to approve.
Question? Comment?
Let's do the motion first, and then we'll have the question.
Okay, go ahead.
Looking for a motion to approve.
Do we have, how does that? Okay, motion to approve.
Looking for a second?
I'll second that.
Under the question. Patty?
I have a question about the Ford F-250 2024 pickup truck with a steel plow. First of all, Water and Sewer doesn't do anything with snow plows. And I'm assuming that we are on the hook for a third of this. It's usually 1/3 water, 1/3 sewer for public works vehicles, and 1/3 town. We cannot we cannot authorize snowplow, hydraulic lifts, any of that equipment. Do we
Just
know if the other?
plow that came with the truck. I mean,
Okay.
everybody plows. We plow the
Is this-
water treatment plants, we plow the lift stations.
Is this a used truck?
No,
It's a 24.
it's been on order for a long time.
Ah, okay. Is this a third of the cost, or is this half the cost?
I assume half?
Because I don't see anything in here for a top-end receipt or invoice.
Bill, can you speak to if that's a third or half?
I couldn't hear, it was kind of muffled. I heard about the truck. What's the question, Mike?
Is the water board responsible for half the payment or a third of the payment?
And that's for the vehicle that you're driving, the 2024?
Yes.
That should be, hold on one second, Mike. I think it's water, utility, and wastewater, if I'm correct. It's half and half. I'm trying to.
The PO's the same.
Let me see. Hold on one second.
I think it's half and half because the PO number are the same on both.
Thank
on
you, Wade.
yours and the next meeting. There's 2089, I think the PO number is,
I couldn't tell you because.
or 2589, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I would say half and half. Half from the water utility and half from wastewater, if I remember it correctly.
Okay. I'm not disputing the necessity of the vehicle. I just thought in the past, water did a third, sewer did a third, and the town did a third, because that vehicle will be used for water and sewer, but it may be used for park district and everything else, so.
So this one was, and Patty, I'm a little bit, like I said, I'm trying to pull up what I had. That was originally brought to the board sometime last year. It was ordered by our former wastewater operator, used specifically, for him to complete his duties. So that's why you see the half and half between water and wastewater.
Okay.
Because it was specific to him, specific to what he had ordered. I know what you're talking about, where if it's it's used for all three, but when that one was ordered, it was specifically for him, and that's the one that Mike, who's taken over the position now, is driving as the wastewater operator.
All righty, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anything else under the question?
You know what, John?
Yeah.
It's no problem of going through with it, but how come we don't have like an invoice in our packet on that or anything? That's I think was the same thing with the camera thing. Like, we don't have a problem approving this stuff, it's just, we don't have any paperwork on it.
I think the town council already paid for it, because they've received the truck, so there had to be payment on it.
Well, then why is it on our claims list? I think this is to pay for it. The town council approved it, I believe, but now it comes to us to pay for it. That's been our big question all the time.
Again, I think we're revisiting the same thing that the attorney had sent as the camera truck. It's approved by the town council and then given to the water board for their okay. Unfortunately, I can't forward that while I'm on here, but it's the same opinion as we had with the camera truck.
I think what Greg was asking for is, in the past, we've always in our packets gotten a copy of the request to purchase forms. And I don't think those are being provided for these items. I know I had requested to look at it myself, and Beth was kind enough to send that to me today. But I think it would be helpful if those were sent to us in our packets, so that we don't have these questions each month.
I mean, it's the same question after the attorney gave the thing. If you want a copy of the RTPs, we will add a copy of the RTPs, but we're asking the same question with a different product.
Mm-hmm. And we keep going back to the same thing is,
Well, no, because it was answered. It was answered. It was answered
Well-
from our attorney, and I will forward it, yes, because the original question was about the camera truck. It was given to the attorney sent it over, it was forwarded, and now we're asking the same thing, but now with the vehicle. That was in front of you guys, and again, if you give me, a day, I can tell you exactly what meeting it was brought up at, when Bob had ordered it and asked for it the first time.
I just still think that what we were just asking for was a copy of the request to purchase that shows that the council has approved it, they've signed off on it, and then we're okay to approve it here at this meeting.
and
I'm
we will-
misunderstanding that, Greg?
Yes, that's.
If you want to leave it
Okay.
till next month, feel free, and we can get you, we can get you a copy of the RTP of the request to purchase.
Yes. I mean, we'll give him whatever he wants, it's just,
I'm sorry?
I mean, we
You're
have no
muffled
problem
out.
approving this stuff, it's just, we're so used to getting a packet with the bills, and then it's not in the bill, so I don't know if it's just an oversight or whatever, that's just the whole thing. I mean, it's no
That's-
problem with the issue of the equipment.
Especially with an item this large,
Yeah.
and this RTP was done October 3rd, was
Okay.
generated October 3rd. So,
24.
I'm sorry, I'm listening.
24.
You guys are cutting in and out.
yeah.
So that was a year ago.
Yeah. I mean, I'd like to give Public Works about 3 more of those trucks. They could definitely use them, but
Patty, do you have that, or would you like me to make copies? Or Kim?
Do you want a copy?
no. Thank you. Okay, do we have a motion? Yeah, we got a
Motion was
motion and a
made,
second.
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 Is under the question. All those in favor say aye.
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 All opposed? Motion carried.
Okay. We need to buy them about 6 trucks.
Reports and correspondence. Robinson Engineering, any other project updates?
Yeah, well houses are moving along even more. The landscaping is done. 8 is substantially, I would say, complete with electric. We have a date of the end of, I think, 10/28 is what Bob told me, to do the work into the plant. Really, the only thing that we're waiting for still is NIPSCO. They're now saying 4 weeks out. So even if we get that pipe into the plant, we can't pump until NIPSCO's hooked up. But other than that, everything is moving along.
Okay. Just want to give you a heads up on this, so you got time to look at it. That change order that the contractor had for the installing the water main,
Yes.
that was, the water main was supplied by the town of St. John, or no?
Yes.
Okay.
But we did, I didn't want to take any chances with the gaskets. We did, cut the bells off and use flanges to put everything together since the gaskets were sitting out in the sun. So that was a little bit extra cost, but I did work with Grimmer. The number I told you last meeting, the 102, I went through all their items and we got it below the 100, so we can fit that in the contingency amount without needing an official change order.
And the only question I've got is his cost per square foot. If you divide that up by the amount of footage, it's pretty high.
Cost per foot, yeah.
Yeah, so if you can just kind of ask him to break that down a little bit,
Okay.
because I think it worked out to be like $400 and some per foot. And that's pretty high, especially since we're supplying the pipe.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it is, so I want to have him give us, and I'm sure his backfill was basically what he had dug out except for the bedding of the pipe. Other than that, he's filling back in what he took out.
Okay. Yeah, you have not seen that bill yet. That has not been put towards in the bills payable yet.
Right, I just want to be on our toes with
Okay.
that, because, let's see. Anything else?
That's it for me, just the 2 projects.
Mike, anything from Public Works?
Well 7's back after the snap shaft, and it's been reset and passed all its back T tests and it's back in service. Good to see it back.
Great.
Well 5 is scheduled to be looked at in the next couple weeks as part of our yearly maintenance. They're not too concerned. They're thinking it's possibly just a bad seal or gasket or O-ring. What they'll do there is pull the existing one off and just give us a loaner. Drop it in, pretty simple, hour or 2 job, and then they take the motor back and give it an overhaul, and we'll go from there.
Okay, sounds great. Anything else?
Should be good.
All right. Anything from the town manager, Bill?
No, I think Dave and Mike covered everything that I could have covered. Thank you.
Okay. Anything from the board members? I'll open it up to the public. Any comment from the public? No comments from the public. Looking for adjournment. Motion to adjourn.